All right, so it's 7 o'clock. It is May 18th, 2021. This is the Clayton City Council. Welcome to the program. And we're going to get started. And Janet is here. So, Janet, if you would please do the roll call.
Absolutely. Councilmember Diaz?
Present.
Councilmember Tillman?
Here.
Councilmember Juan?
Here.
Vice Mayor Cloven?
I am here.
Mayor Wolf?
I'm here too.
Thank you.
All right. And so we will move on now to our meeting protocol video. Do we have the video today?
Yes, it'll be just a moment.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Okay.
Due to COVID-19, this meeting will be conducted as a Zoom webinar pursuant to the provisions of the Governor's Executive Order N-2920, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act. This meeting is being webcast on the City of Clayton's website. The mayor will call upon its council, presenters, staff, and other speakers by name and ask that they speak clearly and state their name before giving comments or remarks. Persons participating via webcast and Zoom with their cameras enabled are reminded that their activities are visible to viewers. Members of the public participating by Zoom wishing to speak should use the raise hand feature or dial *9 and the mayor will call upon them at the appropriate time. Telephone attendees will be called upon by the last 4 digits of their phone number. It is requested that public speakers state their name, but providing such information is voluntary. Written public comments received by Clayton City Clerk by 5 p.m. today will be entered into the record, but will not be read out loud. If authors of the written correspondence would like to speak, they are free to do so and should raise their hand and the mayor will call upon them at the appropriate time. A roll call vote will be taken for all action items. The chat feature is not active. In order to get the full Zoom experience, please make sure your application is up to date.
Okay, there we are. So if Jim would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Diaz.
Yes, sir. I'm here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Diaz. And moving on now to item number 4, the consent calendar. Does anybody have any items they want to talk about? Pull? No? All right, we have a motion.
I so move. Accept consent calendar.
First by Cloven. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Tillman. Janet, call the vote, please.
Sure. Councilmember Diaz?
Yes.
Councilmember Tillman?
Aye.
Councilmember Juan?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cloven?
Aye.
Mayor Wolf?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we're moving on now to recognitions and presentations. And I have one here for re-recognizing June as LGBTQI plus Pride Month in the city of Clayton. So I'm going to read this, and this is a redo from last year due to a date change. So I'll paraphrase the majority of this. Whereas the city of Clayton is a welcoming community and an exceptional place to live, work, and visit, and whereas the city of Clayton is strengthened by diversity of ethnic, cultural, racial, gender, and sexual identities of its residents, all of whom contribute to the vibrant character of our city. And whereas the city of Clayton has a diverse LGBTQI plus community and is committed to supporting visibility, dignity, and equality for all community members so that all residents can live free from discrimination. And whereas June has become a symbolic month in which LGBTQI people and supporters come together in various celebrations of pride. Now, therefore, I, Carl Wolf, Mayor, and on behalf of the entire Clayton City Council, hereby proclaim the month of June as LGBTQI plus Pride Month in Clayton, California, and invite everyone to reflect on ways in which we can all live and work together with a commitment to mutual respect and understanding, and further recognize Pride Month by flying the rainbow flag at several city flagpoles throughout the month of June. And we have one more recognition, and this was brought to my attention by Planning Commissioner Gavidia. He found out that there are some team members of a Clayton team from our Mount Diablo Elementary that are the first team to ever go to the World Championships of Odyssey of the Mind. And so we want to recognize those team members because this is a really amazing thing. Wait a minute, I think we have them. There we are. There's Coach. Oh, there's Coach Culp, actually. In fact, Coach Culp, if you can say a few words. This is Coach Culp, and she has 3 Odyssey teams, believe it or not. I don't know how you handle it because it's such an amazing and difficult thing that you're doing, and an amazing and difficult thing that these kids have achieved. So could you give us just an overview of, I know it's hard to do, but an overview of Odyssey of the Mind and what this competition entails? I know that the finals were this past Sunday, but you don't find out where you stand until the end of the month. But if you could give us an overview, that'd be great.
Sure. Yeah, it consists of teams of 7. They compete against other schools. They do 2 different types of competition. They do a long-term problem where they choose, there's 5 different categories. The one they chose this year was a performance one, and they had to solve the problem of what's called superhero socks. So each long-term problem is worth 250 points. So there's many requirements they have to fulfill. It's an 8-minute skit. They're only allowed to spend $125. So a lot of it is done with recyclable items and things that are garage sale. The kids fully have to create all the items, materials, they use, the skits and everything. Parents are not allowed to help at all.
Wow.
And so a lot of it is teaching outside of the box. That's what Odyssey of the Mind is about. Instead of everything being black and white, it's more of a gray area. The other part of the competition is called spontaneous. Normally in a non-COVID year, the kids would be in a live in-person competition on a school site, which is usually at Concord High. Then they would go into a room, there'd be a set of materials, and the judges would tell them they have about 8 to 10 minutes, and they either have to build something quickly and do something with it, or they could have a verbal problem where they could show them an image. One of the things they did, they had an image of goats in a tree, and they had to come up with 35 different creative responses.
And they don't have a clue as to what is coming their way, right? This is all improv, basically, all right on the spot.
Yeah, the spontaneous one is literally,
Yeah.
they have no clue. The great thing about the spontaneous is it really teaches them a life skill, because as we all know, as adults, whether you work or you're in college, things don't go as planned at all. And working with, I have 6 lovely ladies here. Working together with other people is very problematic, especially in a spontaneous situation when things don't go as planned. So they learn a skill, how to adapt, how to be in the real world versus just, schools are great. I'm an educator, but a lot of it's black and white in school, and kids get very attuned of trying to have someone tell them, well, what's the answer? What's the answer? With Odyssey, there is no right or wrong answer ever. The kids have to come up with the answer. Okay. the point is, how creative can they be with what materials or what situation is going on? And that's what's great about Odyssey. It's just
And
Go ahead.
so you find out how you did in the World Championship. This is amazing. The first team from Clayton,
yep.
and
Yeah.
they're from Mount Diablo Elementary.
Correct.
But you also have a couple of high school teams.
Yes, I had two
So-
teams that competed for Clayton Valley High School.
Right. So technically, the elementary school kids did better than the kids
Yeah.
from the high school.
It's just hard. The further up you get in the divisions, with high school,
You bet. Much more
harder the
difficult.
competition is. So, and this was a really strange year. Everything was done virtually.
Right.
So normally when you do it live, things can happen. So even the teams that are well versed in practice and all that, a backdrop can fall or somebody can
Sure.
go along. When you videotape everything, you can, if it doesn't work out, you can videotape it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Boy, I gotta congratulate you. It's an amazing thing that you're doing and leading these kids to the World
Oh,
Championships.
great.
First time. Clayton, very, very proud of these students. Avika Bennett, Kira Caldwell, Julia Dent, Emma Forrester, Charlotte King, and Hannah Laverick. And we thank you, and you made Clayton very, very proud.
All
So
right.
congratulations to you.
Great job, ladies.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor Wolf.
Bye-bye.
Bye there.
All right, that was good. That's an amazing thing. So we're moving on to reports now. We have no Planning Commission or Trails and Landscape Committee reports, so we'll move on to the city manager and staff report, please.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Mostly what I just want to provide this evening is a little bit of an update as best I can on COVID-related restrictions and the like here in Clayton and Contra Costa County. The short answer is there's no very clear picture. The slightly longer answer is that the governing requirements will, for us, come from two places. One, they will come from the county, as the county is our public health officer, and so that will define whatever the public health order is for us. The second is with respect to both Clayton as an employer and other employers. The state entity that deals with workplace safety, Cal OSHA. Cal OSHA put out requirements in November of last year, emergency requirements related to COVID that we've all been following. The Cal OSHA will be acting Thursday of this week to revise those, but they will likely define things like mask mandates and other things related to vaccinated and unvaccinated populations, et cetera, that will apply to us and other entities as employers. So we will have kind of two levels of requirements that we will be required to comply with. Hopefully they'll align somewhat with what's happening at the state and federal level, because the more things align, the easier it is for us to ensure compliance and to explain to folks exactly what they should be doing. So that is my hope. The city managers in the county are hoping to have a briefing with the county health officer this Thursday. So hopefully in the next week or so, I should have more information. But we certainly know that sometime around June 15th, at least some things should begin to change, and we'll see what happens after that. So that's the current state of affairs with respect to COVID and masking and every other confusion that has come from that in the last week or so. So that's it for me this evening. Thank you.
Okay. And did you want to mention something about the flag?
I was going to, but I realized that you said it with your proclamation, just that we
Okay.
will be flying the pride flag at 3 locations in the city as directed by council last year in a resolution. So that's remains in place. And And we'll be doing that again effective June 1st. So
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Raina?
Yeah, I just would like to chime in on the
Sure.
flag issue. I hope that the same accommodation will be given to our armed forces when their appropriate flag flying day comes up, as well as law enforcement. I know we had a proclamation for Peace Officers Memorial Day, but I'll have a little bit more to say on that later. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So I guess we'll move on now and go to City Council reports. How about we'll start with Holly today? Did I start with you last time? I don't remember. So
No, I think I might have gone last or somewhere toward
Okay.
the end. Thanks. I had on May 5th, one of the subcommittee meetings for ABAR, which is the Anti-Bias, Anti-Racism Committee that the Mount Diablo Unified School District is trying to start out. That was on the 5th. We're still trying to figure out what our goals are going to be. So there's some goal setting sessions. That was one of two that I've had in the last 2 weeks. On the 6th, I attended the mayor's conference, and I will let you give the update on that, Mayor. On the 7th, I was pleased to attend our first bocce match. It was great to be out there with, actually Peter was out there too on Friday night. We hadn't been out there I hadn't been out there since the fall of 2019. So as a former CBCA board member, I know that was something that the bocce committee was actively trying to get on board as soon as they were able to, and I was proud to partake in that. And I know that you're going to give an update on that too, Mayor. On the 12th, we had another meeting or a meeting with the Library Foundation board. I had a meeting with them just to discuss what we had gone over at our prior meeting here as a council. The board wanted to make sure that they understood exactly the timing of what was happening with the library hours and changes. And we had a follow-up on that. We're going to have another meeting tomorrow with the city manager as well as the county librarian again. And that was a part of our commitment to ensure that they had a voice and they can express how they're feeling about being left out of that loop last year. On the 13th, as I said, I had another subcommittee, ABAR subcommittee meeting to discuss the goal setting session. And the point of that is to bring it back to the full ABAR representatives that are there right now with the school district to try to figure out how we're going to go forward and implement this in all of the district schools. And then this morning, I had the pleasure and was invited from Sam Cagill, who's our East Bay representative for Cal Cities, to attend a legislative session with Tim Grayson. And so that was fun to see all that in action. Apparently, they usually do this up in Sacramento. And it's kind of like speed dating, going to all the legislators' offices to let them know what bills you would like them to support. So I got to watch that in action for 20 minutes today. And it was like speed dating for representatives from Pleasant Hill, Lafayette, Walnut Creek, Pittsburgh, and then Vallejo as well, that were letting him know that they wanted him to support measures about broadband, the state budget, as well as organic waste. And that's my report.
thank you. Okay. And let's go to Jim.
Thank you. I have several items. First of all, back on May 5th, I personally and family celebrated Cinco de Mayo, for those of you that may have missed that day. On the 7th, I had attended the East Bay Regional Communications System Authority Board that I am alternate member appointed by the Mayor's Conference. We did a number of things that day of interest to the local community. One, we have approved the fiscal budget for 21-22, and we then further went through the approval for a land mobile radio infrastructure for meeting standards, though that we have a consistent system throughout the two counties. And now stretching into a third county, Solano is starting to join in with us as well. We also adopted the purchase of additional control stations for BART, which is very important because they're also part of the law enforcement community. And finally, there was a resolution for a 2-year extension with Contra Costa County for information technology agreements. Next, on Saturday the 8th, I attended the Garden Club plant sale down at the Endeavor Hall parking lot. They had a great turnout and lots of great plants that were available for purchase. I hope all the ladies, mothers on Sunday the 9th enjoyed a Mother's Day. our family did. Let's see, on the 10th, attended via teleconference a White House briefing on economic recovery, which is going to have a lot more things coming out. And I know I met today with the city manager relative to monies that will be coming through the state, the county, and ultimately the city of Clayton. And at this point, there's no definitive plans on how much we're going to get and how we're going to distribute it. That's all to be determined. On Saturday, after two other events, I did observe the Peace Officers Memorial Day, and I'd like to relate two incidences that took place prior to the 15th. On Thursday, the 13th of May, our police department stood up and came through outstanding fashion. We had an unsheltered indigent person who was creating some concern throughout the community. And I want to compliment and recognize Officer Tori Jarvis for the work she performed that day and with that incident. She took charge and she worked extremely well with the individual and was able to determine and find out where he would ultimately like to end up, not in Clayton. And with her efforts and the sergeant in command at the time, Jason Shaw, relocated that individual outside of the city limits at his own request and with his full concurrence. It was an excellent job of community work on their behalf. On Friday, we had another major event take place, and I want to make mention here that there's a person in our community that unfortunately suffers from dementia, and she went out for a walk on Friday evening at 7 p.m. And it wasn't reported to the police department until 9:15 p.m. But Watch Commander Sergeant Richania did an outstanding job. He immediately took charge. He called in the search and rescue team, the helicopter patrol, and so forth, and they conducted a pretty thorough search until about 4 a.m., at which time they did call it off because they had not found the individual. They resumed it again at 9 a.m. on Saturday, the 15th, excuse me, and sent out a bulletin via, I'm sure a lot of people got it on their cell phones at about 2:42 p.m. And they found the person. They found this person at about 6:45 p.m., believe it or not, over in Pleasant Hill near the Outback. It was amazing. They took care of her, took her to the hospital where she was evaluated and released to her family, who were extremely ecstatic over the work that the Clayton Police Department, and particularly under the leadership of Sergeant Rick Chania and what they did. Excellent work, and she's back home. The Clayton Police Department had a little bit of history on this lady. This isn't the first time that she has walked away from their residence, but this time she was gone for an extended period of time and took a little bit of effort to find her and bring her back and get her back to the family, which they did. Had a number of meetings with on the phone and in person with our citizens, and as I mentioned before, met with the city manager earlier today. That's it.
Hey, Jim, do you have any idea? I was asked this question, so I'll ask you, as I don't know the answer. How did she make it all the way to Pleasant Hill?
That is a question that I asked as well. No answer. She's got dementia and it was undefined. All they know is she ended up out near the Outback, if you know where that is, right. Ellingwood and Contra Costa Boulevard, which is a hell of a distance from Clayton. Yeah. And the only thing that we can assume, and the police department can assume, is that she did walk. Who knows? Maybe somebody gave her a ride. I'm not sure of that, but the bottom line is they found her safe and sound and were able to transport her to the hospital for evaluation and then ultimately back to the family.
Thank you. I know it was very cold and windy on Friday night, and that was
absolutely concern. Absolutely.
So thank you for your report. Jeff?
Yeah, I've been out of town quite a bit lately on family stuff. So
you're still in the same place you were last week, I see.
Got my second COVID shot, and that's it. No report after that.
Okay, thank you. Peter?
Greetings, and as much as I agree with Councilman Diaz, I would love for all of us to get back together in person and have these meetings in persons. Right now, I am enjoying this council meeting from Phoenix in a rental car on a cell phone with a hotspot. And there's a lot of value to being able to attend these meetings from long distances when you're traveling like this. And I really appreciate that. It was a busy couple weeks. I would say the most important meeting that I had was my TransPAC meeting, which was week of Thursday. And one of the things that I found out that's really, really important as part of being a city council member is the ability to talk to fellow elected members of city councils in other cities. And through the Hazardous Materials Commission, through the council, through the mayor's conference, through TransPAC, I am talking to many other city council members on a regular basis about how their lives are being affected, not only by the RENA numbers and the housing elements, but also transportation concerns. And the conversation we've been having at TransPAC has been very specific to, oh my gosh, what are these numbers going to mean to us? For instance, I had a conversation with a council member from the city of Pleasant Hill. Pleasant Hill has 10,000 existing housing units, and they are being asked to build or zone, not build, another 1,800 units. That's 18% increase over the current housing stock that they have. And as I was told by the council member, they only have 40 acres of undeveloped land. You look at what Clayton has currently, we have 570 houses that we need to zone for, which is on top of our current 4,000 current units. That's about a 14% increase. What I did is some statistics going around throughout the city and looking at the increases of all cities throughout the county, and realized that Clayton actually got a better deal than most relative to percentage versus current housing stock. So what I did is I tried to figure out what is our analogous city locally, and the one most analogous city that I could figure was the city of Moraga. They're far away from transit centers. They're far away from employment centers. They actually have a 20% increase in their current housing stock, which their RENA numbers are. So I've reached out to council members of Moraga to figure out how they're dealing with RENA numbers and their housing element and what's been forced upon them by the state at this point. It's not enough just to talk to our fellow citizens as a council member. We need to get out and talk and network with our fellow electeds throughout the county who are dealing with the same pressures and stresses that the state is putting upon us. And that's been an extremely valuable lesson to me these past 6 months, is getting out there and talking to other members who are in the same situation as us. Lots of conversations along a lot of topics. Hazard pay for the Safeway workers has been brought up to me a couple times. Obviously, I'm talking, this is a lot of issues going on, and I'm responding as best I can at this point. That's the end of the report, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, and safe driving. Okay, well, my report. I attended, as Holly mentioned, I attended the mayor's conference, and they did a library presentation, and the librarian was late, so I got to do the presentation since she had just visited us the night before. No, that's not true. She was not able to get in right on time, and gave a great presentation, much of which we already knew. And I also attended a meeting with the grassroots organization on SB 9 and other bills. Sat in on that meeting, didn't actually speak there, but I got a chance to listen in and find out, where we're standing on SB 9. I think there are things that we can do coming up. I'll be talking more about that later on, and I intend to meet with Assemblymember Grayson in the near future. I did an official welcome video for the Diablo Valley Relay for Life, which is coming up soon, and it'll be another year of a virtual relay for them, which is very difficult, but it's a 24-hour relay to fight cancer, benefit those that have cancer and their loved ones, and hopefully shoot for a world free of cancer. And I met with our city manager, our vice mayor, a couple of times with our city manager. I also took some emails and calls this week, mostly on a couple of issues. By the way, on Saturday, I did spend some time out looking for the one that Jim was mentioning. Many citizens were out there trying to find this person. Obviously, she was no longer in Clayton, but we were looking in the hills and all around, and I want to thank the citizens that did come out for that. Of course, the command center was right down near my house at Peacock Creek, and the CPD were there, the sheriff's department, all the first responses, emergency rescue, the helicopter people, everything. And it was really an amazing coordinated response to help find this woman, and really appreciate everybody's efforts. But as I mentioned, there were two issues that I had a majority of my emails and calls this week. The first one was about the safety of the players at bocce. And while bocce is not a city event, it's a CBCA event, I decided to reach out to our head of our CBCA bocce league, and Ed Hartley, I believe he's on the call tonight. I spoke with him and his wife a couple of times with regard to this, and they have assured us that they are working to make sure that all of their players that are vaccinated. They know the people who are vaccinated, and those that aren't vaccinated are wearing masks. They're taking every precaution possible, and only the players are allowed there. So I want to assure people that they have everything under control. And this, the CBCA motto is for the good of the community. And I don't think the CBCA would ever do anything that wasn't for the good of the community. And they are taking all the precautions necessary to make sure that this is all safe. And it's great to have bocce back up and running, as both Peter and Holly can tell you. And I think, Jim, you play too, don't you? So anyway, so it's great to have bocce back and in a safe manner. And as we move forward, they'll continue that. And the other thing was with regard to also what Jim mentioned about the homeless fellow that was here in Clayton. Received quite a few emails and calls on this. It is not a crime to be homeless. And we were lucky enough to have our sergeant and our police department out there to convince this fellow to eventually to move on. At his request, he was able to move on. But from what I understand, and having meetings with our city manager and our chief, there's very little that we can do with the ordinance that we have in place now, and with the state controls that we have, in order to do anything about this, except to, I understand the worst that we could do is give this fellow a ticket if he was to stay too long. I'm not sure that would have made people very happy, but nevertheless, the bottom line is that he was moved on by his own accord, and we appreciate the police coming out to handle this in such a professional manner. So that will be my report for today. All right. Moving on now to public comments on non-agenda items. We'd like you to use the raise your hand feature and let us know if you would like to speak. You'll have up to 3 minutes to speak on anything that is not on the agenda. So Janet, if you will, see Ed Hartley is here, so I think he must be first. Janet?
That is correct.
All right, welcome, Ed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You can hear me okay?
We can, thank you.
Good. My name is Ed Hartley. I'm a CBCA member and chair of its bocce committee. We are a committee of 9. The Clayton Bocce League has 180 teams and 1,800 players. League open, free, reservation, and tournament play are year-round. We shut everything down on March 10, 2020. During the past year, barely a day went by without a member of the league telling someone on the committee how much they missed bocce, how much they missed the camaraderie and competition between friends and community neighbors, and that being able to resume play was important for these reasons, as well as their own mental health. When public health guidelines made it possible to resume playing, we, after obtaining approval from the CBCA Executive Board and the Ibsen family, on whose property we play, made preparations to play our spring league. At that time, we told all players they would have to wear a mask and social distance on the courts. No guests would be allowed for the first month, and all players would have to sign new liability waivers specific to COVID. We allowed teams that were not ready to resume playing yet to opt out of this season with their spot reserved for 2022. 7 teams chose this option and were replaced for this year. Prior to the season starting, we held a meeting with all 70 teams. We reinforced that failure to abide by the health guidelines risked not only expulsion from the league, but possibly cancellation of the season for everyone. Therefore, we are all in this together. The week before the season started, the CDC relaxed mask guidelines for fully vaccinated persons when outdoors. We followed suit and told our 70 teams that it was each team's responsibility to make sure who was vaccinated and who was not. And those who were not must wear a mask covering the nose and mouth. No teams complained, no teams refused, no teams quit. A very few number of players decided not to continue playing, and we gave teams options on how to deal with this. CBCA has been responsible in how it has handled reopening bocce. We told our players that we would follow public health guidelines, and we have and will continue to do so. Teams have accepted that. We are also looking to reopen public reservation and tournament play beginning in June. We thank CBCA and the Ibsen family for their ongoing support. And most of all, we are thankful for the commitment, integrity, and responsibility shown by our 700 Spring League players. They understand what we have all been through because they have been through it. They understand and accept the conditions of how we are able to play at all. We could not do this without them. We hope this answers most people's questions about public safety aspect of playing bocce now. We know that not everyone agrees with this. Indeed, just this past Friday, it was noticed that someone who was not a player was on the court taking photos. I would like to thank this person. I would like to talk to this person, and anyone else with questions, I can be reached at league@claytonbocce.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. And we appreciate your coming on and explaining this all to us all. And again, welcome back to bocce. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Janet, who is next?
Our next speaker is Doug. Doug, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone.
Excuse me.
Okay, I think I'm on. Yes.
You are. Hi, Doug.
Thank you for the time, Council. This is Doug Jones. I'm one of the executive board members of the Contra Costa Labor Council. I'm a political organizer for SEIU United Healthcare Workers. I worked at a trauma hospital here in the East Bay for 25 years before I became a political organizer for my statewide healthcare workers union. We're glad that Councilmember Cloven recognized the fact that there's been discussions that have been taking place around an ordinance to provide a potential pay increase on a short-term basis for grocery workers, hopefully similar to the ordinance that was passed recently in Concord, which is currently providing a $5 an hour increase in wages for grocery workers throughout Concord for, again, a limited period of time. I'm as I said, a lifelong healthcare worker representing healthcare workers, and I'm speaking in support of the City Council agendizing and voting on a similar ordinance for Concord. Obviously, there is the competitive aspect of potentially Clayton grocery stores losing workers during this period of time. But I'd like to talk about something that's a little bit more specific, and that's around the health of the community. A lot of the members of our healthcare workers union have died as a result of their COVID infections, but I was shocked to discover that grocery workers, just the grocery workers that are represented by United Food and Commercial Workers throughout California, over 400 grocery workers have died from their COVID infections. And again, that's just from UFCW membership. So we can count on the fact that many, many hundreds more grocery workers who do not have labor representation have also died from their COVID infections. It's a very large workforce. It's exposed on a regular basis to the broad community, people coming in various forms of, unvetted health. And oftentimes, obviously, many people are unwilling to easily comply with requests to place masks on. So, and that's really an important thing for the health of the community. UFCW Local 5 has done a heroic job in raising standards for grocery workers, not just unionized workers, but non-unionized workers. Nevertheless, these remain jobs which provide modest pay and health benefits. And I'm sure that many of you are acquainted with the idea of people not being able to make use of their health care because even with health insurance, sometimes it's expensive to receive care. We need people to receive care the second that they feel ill, when they potentially could have a deadly disease. That's important for them. It's important for the community. So we hope you will agendize and vote on an item that will increase pay for workers so that when they get potentially a little bit sick, they will immediately seek care. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate your being here. Okay, and Janet, do we have anyone else?
Our next speaker is John. John, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, John, we can hear you. Welcome.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you, Council, for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is John Gomez. I am a 13-year grocery worker and a member and representative of United Food and Commercial Workers Local 5. I too am speaking today in regards to the hazard pay, or the proposed hazard pay. Since the beginning of the pandemic, these grocery workers have continued to go into work to ensure that the communities are fed. These grocery workers have dealt with things like anti-maskers and people who are rude. They've been yelled at and cussed at. And to put it frank, these grocery workers, are facing risks now that they didn't sign up for when, this pandemic started. You didn't apply for a grocery position thinking that there would be risks to life and health. We think, these grocery workers deserve it, and I hope that the council recognizes as well. UFCW did reach out to the council we were under the impression that the item would be agendized. Unfortunately, it is not. So we are here today, to I guess push the matter and hope that the council do recognize and reward these workers for the job that they have done the last year, and again join their neighbor in Concord, as well as the other 17 cities that have passed the hazard pay ordinance, and whether that be by passing a hazard pay ordinance or using some of those funds that was mentioned, the CARE Act funds, to reward these workers. I think it's important. And again, UFCW Local 5 is here to assist and give any information necessary. And again, these grocery workers deserve it. These large companies have seen record profits, have enjoyed record profits. And frankly, these workers haven't seen any of it. So again, this is important to us. It's important to the grocery workers. And we hope that the council please bring this forward and agendize it as soon as possible. Thank you for your time. And that's all I have.
Thank you, John. Okay, Janet, do we have anybody else in the queue?
Our next speaker is Bambi. Bambi, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone.
Hi, thank you so much for your time, City Councilmen. I'm Bambi. I am a UFCW Local 5 representative, and I'm asking today for the City Council of Clayton to please put the hazard pay on the agenda. The reason that I'm asking for this is because I'm a representative of these now essential workers in the grocery stores. I personally represent the Clayton Safeway. They were once paid an appreciation pay for being an essential worker, and then this was quickly taken away from them after a short few months. While across the way, the Save Mart company has continued to pay their workers the additional pay for hazard. We're asking for this because a lot of homes that went from double incomes went down to a single income, And as you know, grocery workers don't make a lot of money. So these essential employees that have been servicing the community are now down to their one grocery worker salary, which is very difficult to maintain a family. They're constantly at risk. They are constantly being faced with the public, working in small clusters. The hazards that they're constantly being faced with, they are told they can't use the face shield. They work with these masks on 8 hours a day. If you've ever gone grocery shopping with your mask on, you can tell that after just 20, 30 minutes of grocery shopping, you're winded. And these grocery workers are expected to work 8 solid hours with a mask on because they can't take it off in the lunchroom because they could expose their coworkers. Can't take it off in the back because they can expose their coworkers. And it's the struggle that they're constantly going through. The hazard pay will go a long way for 2 things. 1, to help them financially with their families, and 2, to show that the community does appreciate them showing up day in and day out to assist with the community to continue to flow the way that they can to get their groceries and go home and take care of their families. So again, I'm asking this wonderful city council to please consider putting this on the agenda and move forward. I know that it's a few short steps, but there's other city councils that, because it's later on in the time frame to do this, they're considering doing a retro language in the ordinance to go back so that they can go for 120 days, regardless of the tier that we're in. I thank you for your time, and I appreciate you guys listening.
Thank you, Bambi. Janet, anybody else?
Our next speaker is Maria. Maria, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, Maria.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a Safeway employee, Clayton Safeway. I've been working for Safeway 26 years, and Clayton for 12 years. I'm sorry, I can't, my voice is really raspy. We all got affected with COVID. I was the first case in the Safeway back in June of 2020. At that time, I had a baby. She was a year old. She also had COVID. When I got it, at that time, I have 4 kids and 1 husband. I have to get insulated because I had COVID. I couldn't see my family for a whole month. I couldn't see my parents because my dad is 80 years old and he has diabetes. So I didn't work for a whole month because I didn't get the results right away. I got it after like 9 months. So, 9 days, I have to stay in a hotel with the baby because I didn't want to get anybody else sick. All my coworkers and people at work, they were concerned. At that time, we didn't know so much about this virus. Everybody was new to it. And I got really affected because after that, 2 months later, one of my family members died from COVID. And I'm here to speak for the whole store because a lot of people got ill. We were so exposed because we want to provide customer service for our customers, our community. The beginning of this, back in March, I was working 6-7 days a week, 10-12 hours. It was devastating seeing people walking to the door running, trying to get the toilet paper and the groceries because we were so limited, and the warehouses. A lot of elder people were coming in the store and crying because they need stuff for their families. And it was a really hard experience for me. And like I said, I was the first case in this store. So I really appreciate if you guys can help us a little bit to keep providing our customers with their groceries and their families and the whole community of Clayton. I think that's all I have. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Maria. I'm sorry for your loss, and we hope you feel better too.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Janet?
Our next speaker is Dee. Dee, as you're promoted to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone.
Dee, can you unmute? Maybe we can circle back to D. Is there anyone else in the queue right now? Yes, and so.
Can you hear
wait,
me?
wait, hold on. There we go. Yes, D, we got you.
Oh, great. Hello, Council.
Hi.
I would like to use my time to share with you the meaning of the Progress Pride flag. I'd like to start off with Rainbow's vision. Starting in 2020, Rainbow's vision and work in our communities has been redefined to center our most marginalized community members, namely our Black, Indigenous, Brown, transgender, and non-binary people. We have landed with a flag that represents our work and the people who have historically had to survive and reside at the furthest margins of our communities. The symbolism and representation of the Progress Pride flag captures Rainbow's vision and work. The original multicolored flag was created by Gilbert Baker in 1978, and the new Progress Pride flag was designed and adopted by Daniel Quasar in 2018. Daniel Quasar wanted to separate the 6 multi-stripes from the newer stripes because of their differences in their meaning, as well as to shift the focus and emphasis to what is important in our current community climate. The background of the 6-striped LGBTQ flag: red is life, orange is healing, yellow is sunlight, green is nature, blue is peace and harmony, and purple is spirit. The main section of the flag includes 6 multicolored stripes. The trans and marginalized community stripes were shifted to the hoist of the flag and given a new arrow shape. The arrow points to the right to show forward movement, while being along the left edge shows that progress is still needed. The hoist has 5 half-size stripes. The light blue, light pink, and white stripes represent trans individuals. The brown and black stripes represent our people of color. The black also represents those living with AIDS, those that are no longer living, and the stigma surrounding them. Council, the LGBTQI plus community and their allies appreciate you flying the new inclusive pride flag. This flag is symbolic to members of the LGBTQI plus community that they are seen, they are safe, and they are free to live as their true selves. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. I know you're traveling, so thanks for popping in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, Janet.
Our next speaker is Claire. Claire, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone.
Yes, hello, thank you. My name is Claire Courtney, and I am an organizer with UFCW Local 5. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak tonight. I am making a comment in support of adding hazard pay to the agenda. For the last year, I've had the privilege of working alongside so many grocery workers, these essential workers. We call by name, but unfortunately, these companies do not recognize them as essential workers in their pay. For the last year, they have gone above and beyond to serve our communities, doing so many things that are so far beyond what their job descriptions include, from encouraging people to wear masks that would otherwise not want to feeding our communities when, you know, they have children, they have grandparents living with them that they are exposing on a daily basis to COVID. And while vaccine rates are increasing and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, this pandemic is very far from being over. And while I hope that more people in the Bay Area get vaccinated, we know that there will continue to be a population that does not, and our members will continue to be put at risk as they go to work every single day. And the most offensive part of it, honestly, is that these grocers are making more money than they ever have before, and it's not trickling down to their employees. They are not seeing increases in their paychecks, even as they go to work while the majority of us do not have to. For example, the fact that this meeting is happening over Zoom, we aren't being exposed by working right now, but they go in every single day, 8 hours, feed our communities, and they aren't being acknowledged for that work. So many cities across the Bay Area have grown to appreciate and acknowledge these workers for what they have done, and have enforced hazard pay on employers that refuse to acknowledge their employees for the incredible work that they're doing. And I congratulate you all for having the opportunity to let your constituents know, and the people that live and work in your city, let them know that you care about the work that they do, you appreciate them, and you know that calling them essential workers isn't enough. We have to pay them more. We have to monetarily thank them for this, again, incredible work that they're doing. So I definitely encourage to echo members and my coworkers that have spoken from UFCW, in that we have to get hazard pay across the entire Bay Area. This pandemic isn't ending anytime soon, and these workers were essential then. They're going to continue to be essential, and so much of the work that they do is thankless. And this is an opportunity for us all to thank them and show their employers that we truly expect that employers will acknowledge the work that they do. Thanks again for giving us the opportunity to speak. And I know that you all will make the right decision in adding hazard pay to your agenda very soon.
Thank you, Claire. Okay, Janet?
Our next speaker is Kelly. Kelly, as you're promoted to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone.
Just waiting on Kelly to unmute. Okay. Oh, there. I think.
Hello, can you hear me?
There we go, Kelly. Hi.
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Good evening, council members.
Hi.
My name is Kelly Kick, and I am a 27-year United and food commercial worker. 15 of those years was spent in Clayton Safeway. It was difficult during this pandemic. We served our community with pride. We did it every day. Every single day we came to work, we smiled and shined through 10, 12, 14-hour days. And we did it to be with our team, and we did it to serve the community. It was incredibly hard not to hug our coworkers when we were breaking down, crying out of fear and panic. We had to give each other 6 feet. However, we were not given the same opportunity to stay 6 feet away from our customers. We were threatened, we were harassed, we were cussed at, we were followed to our cars because we had toilet paper in our possession that we took to our own homes. It is unfortunate that Clayton has not been afforded the same hazard pay that Concord has been afforded. We're asking you kindly to please consider giving Clayton grocery workers the same hazard pay of $5 an hour to help out their families. There were outbreaks in the store. We didn't know. We didn't know we were infecting each other, or we were infecting our coworkers. We were infecting our families. We were infecting our customers. And it went on for months. We were forced to help people without masks. However, if we came to work without a mask, we were sent home without pay. Please, council members, we beg you, we implore you to please hear us, hear our pleas, hear that we were there for you during this whole pandemic. Please be there for us and help pass the hazard pay ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Janet?
Our next speaker is Scott. Scott, as you're promoted to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
We can. Hi, Scott.
All right. Hey there, guys. I just wanted to circle back to what Jim was saying earlier about our homeless brother that was here over the last week. I was actually there when Officer Jarvis and Sergeant Shaw were helping him out, and I just wanted to praise them. They did a wonderful job. I was there when before Sergeant Shaw arrived. Officer Jarvis went above and beyond. She was taking out her cell phone, asking him where he wanted to go. It was honestly very hard to talk to him. You know, we talk about dementia with this lady that ended up in Pleasant Hill, and we have a lot of compassion for her. I wish we had kind of have the same level of compassion for people like Glenn when they were visiting us. But Sergeant Shaw and Officer Jarvis did show that level of compassion and really went above and beyond, and I really do appreciate it. That said, I'm a little bit abbreviated. That's what I had called in to talk about, but I've been kind of impassioned by what I'm hearing from the grocery workers out there. I really wish, I hope all of you guys right now are listening to the voice of Maria. That was touching. She serves our community and is losing loved ones over this and is just working her ass off, trying to help us all out. And we need more compassion for these people. They work at the Clayton Safeway. You hear the words of Kelly? It's powerful stuff, guys. So, our neighboring city, Concord, is doing the right thing. We talk about doing the right thing. I imagine this is low-hanging fruit for us. Let's do the right thing. Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you, Scott. Janet, do we have anybody else?
Yes, our next speaker is Jonathan. Jonathan, I promote you to panelist. If you can please unmute your microphone.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, hello, Dr. Lee.
Yeah, hi. First, I want to say I support bocce in Clayton, so don't mess with the bocce ball. I'm a new fan. Second, I want to say I support the hazard pay for our grocery store workers. I think they should have had this a year ago. I'm actually surprised that it hasn't happened. So please do put it on the agenda and please pass it, hazard pay ordinance for them. What happened to Councilmember Jeff Wong? I saw him earlier, but now he's gone. I'm actually going to read a statement from a letter, anonymous letter that was sent out to 3,600 Clayton residents. On the third page, it states, and I quote, true, from the appearance of Lee's flyer, referring to my April 10th Stop the Hate rally flyer, he appears to be supporting the recall of Cloven, Tillman, and Wolf while exposing hate for the Asian community. It's the very same tactic radical groups use to bring attention to themselves. Hate of any kind should not be tolerated and must be stopped. And I want to emphasize, Jeff Wan should be our mayor, end quote. This is actually kind of outrageous. This was item number 11 in this anonymous letter. Councilmember Wan, your refusal to condemn your supporters directly communicated to them and continues to communicate to them that you will support the efforts to sow racial division and hate in our community. They mailed 3,600 anonymous letters to Clayton residents full of lies and disinformation. Number 11 that I just read directly speaks to you. It is about you and their continued refusal to accept the fact that you lost and you were not elected mayor by your peers. In 3 public statements responding to my call since April 10th to condemn your supporters, you dismissed it and you sidestepped the issue. In the latest statement you made it about your failed attempt to become mayor. When will you finally have the will and courage to do the right thing and condemn this group of supporters? Do you want them to send out another 3,600 letters with more lies in your name on your behalf? Be a leader, Councilmember Wan. Please do us all a favor and do the right thing and condemn them for continually using you as a pawn in their race lighting. Stand up to them. Their vote should not matter more than supporting anti-Asian violence. And above all, it should not matter more than your dignity. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I don't think there's anybody in the queue now. Janet?
Mayor Wolf, I just had one hand raised. Frank, okay. As I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone.
Good evening, City Council.
Hi, Frank.
Good evening. I just wanted to comment on our police. I heard a lot of good compliments to our police tonight over the job with the unfortunate person that was in Clayton. I understand it's taken us quite a little while to find a replacement for Officer Pike, who retired earlier this year. And something that I hope that our City Council starts to realize. Politicians all over this country have taken to berating police officers, calling them racist, all kinds of things. My best friend is a police officer for San Francisco. He's younger than me. He just retired because he gets spit upon by citizens, all kinds of criticism. Being a police officer these days is not fun. And the only thing that I can compare it to is what it was like for returning Vietnam veterans back in the late 60s and early 70s. The My Lai massacre was a horrible tragedy. And the media and many people in this country proceeded to label all service members the same as those who committed the My Lai massacre. What happened to George Floyd was an obscenity. It was wrong. But what's happened with many politicians in the press, that now we treat police officers with the same disrespect that Vietnam vets were treated with. You guys are having a hard time replacing one police officer. One day you might have a hard time replacing all of them. I would not want to be a police officer today. I once wore a uniform. I wouldn't wear one today. I've heard from all police officers, including our own, that the police academy now is running so low. So our police officers, as it is, are not paid well. There are comments that have been made from some people in city government that are less than courteous to our police officers. One day you might call a police officer, but there won't be one to respond to your call. So I urge the city council to get behind our police. We just had Peace Officers Memorial Day. I didn't see a ceremony. I know there was a proclamation, but it's a hard job. It's a very hard job to put on a uniform and protect people. So I hope that our city council can get behind that. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, Janet, anybody else put their hand up?
Yes, I have another speaker, Bassam, as I promote you to panelist. If you can please unmute your microphone.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Bassam. Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, Mayor, City Council. First of all, I want to thank Clayton Police for everything they did recently. They really did an awesome job. But I'm calling tonight to urge City Council to support our Safeway workers. They are a very, very important people in our city, and they help us all. And we really can't understand how much risk they went through. So I really would love to support them and urge you all to support them. And it's only fair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bassam. Janet, anybody else?
Mayor Wolf, at this time, I do not have any other hands raised.
Thank you. And we will close the public comment and move on to public hearings. We have none. And now our action items. Action item A, adopt a resolution awarding a professional services agreement to MIG for update of Clayton housing element and appropriating up to $330,000 from the rainy day fund for the project. And city manager will take it from here.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I'm trying to multitask, which if you know read any of the science on this, we apparently cannot multitask as humans. We can do things quickly in succession, but I have asked Ellie Fiore from MIG to join us for this evening. Dana Ayers, who is our interim CDD director, is also in the audience, and can be available if there are any questions for her. The item before you this evening is a follow-up to an action you took in March to issue an RFP for a consultant to assist the city in an update of our housing element. Proposals were due April 23rd. We received 2 proposals. One was from MEG, the firm that we're recommending. The other was from a firm called Four Leaf. Four Leaf is another firm in the area that does a similar type of work. Both consultants that proposed were well qualified, similar experience, expertise, etc. And in fact, the proposals are very similarly priced. What led me after some interviewing to select MEG was in part that MEG is also the firm that is working with us on the outreach related to our downtown property. And there are some links between that property and the housing element. It was listed as an opportunity site in our current cycle housing element. And there are some opportunities as well to leverage some of the outreach to achieve multiple objectives that ultimately will, I think, allow us to potentially bring more people into the process, and will also hopefully save us a little bit of money as we try to dovetail those efforts. And so with that, the recommendation will be to award the professional services agreement to MEG. A couple of things to consider about that. The work that we will be doing with MEG ultimately should come to its conclusion by the end of 2022, as the 6th cycle for our arena is due to start January of 2023. So that's really the time frame. I want to say as well, the comments that were made by Vice Mayor Cloven before during his report, and I was just looking at this today, and the how the RHNA numbers were allocated to all of our jurisdictions is fairly complex and has to do with proximity to jobs and transit and access to high resource areas, so areas with good schools and good infrastructure and other things, et cetera. And so the allocation that Clayton has is in line certainly with what else is allocated in our area, and is probably as challenging for us as it is for everyone to ensure that we are going to be able to reach those numbers. The second thing that I wanted to just highlight before being available to answer any questions is that one component of this process is an environmental review. So all of our environmental reviews start with an initial study. So we look at the project, in this case, this program for the housing element update, and we say, are there going to be any significant, unavoidable, unmitigatable impacts? And if there are, then we need to do additional environmental review. So when I brought the RFP item forward in March, I identified that we had some grant funding, 2 grants totaling about $85,000. And I was hopeful that the request from the rainy day fund would be about $150,000 to bring us to about $235,000. And in fact, with the proposal, if we don't need to do additional environmental work, that is about where we'll end up. However, I think there is a potential that we will definitely need to do additional environmental work for a variety of reasons, including the fact that we have a much more substantial target to reach this time, which will have potentially much greater impacts in the community, as well as the fact that the existing environmental documentation for our general plan, so the housing element is a component of our general plan, and the environmental documentation for our general plan is quite old. And so anytime you are many, many years from the original environmental documentation, you potentially have those additional impacts. So if the city is required to do the additional environmental review, that adds about $150,000 to $180,000 to the project. This is all fairly consistent with what you see in other jurisdictions around the area. certainly larger jurisdictions are having much larger costs for those same services. So the recommendation before you this evening is to approve the professional services agreement with MIG and to authorize up to $330,000 from the rainy day fund to fund the contract. If we need less, we will certainly spend less. I have no desire to spend extra money out of that rainy day fund on this project when there are so many other projects that we want to do and we're looking forward to do. But I do want to set expectations that we should set that money aside in case we do need to do that environmental work. With that $330,000 from the rainy day fund, there is still about $178,000 available in that fund for other projects that we will be talking about either with the budget process or subsequent to the budget process. And with that, both Ellie and myself are available to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay, and I see that Holly has her hand raised, so we'll go to Holly first.
Thank you, City Manager Schwartz. I just have a quick question for either you or Ellie. I'm assuming that the contract pricing that you just quoted, I don't know how else to phrase it, but is that bundled pricing that we'd be getting by hiring MIG for both pieces?
The downtown property project had a separate $50,000 appropriation that was done at the time that contract was awarded. This contract is actually slightly reduced from that I'm recommending this evening, slightly reduced from what was proposed by MIG, in part in recognition for the fact that they are working on both projects, and some of the same folks who are working on outreach for one will be working on outreach for the other. So we did have a bit of a price reduction from the original proposal that Ellie and I negotiated, and will also, continue to take advantage of that if ultimately it doesn't take all of the work that it might.
Okay, thank you.
What's the status of the grant? Do we know?
The two grants, we have those grants are ours. We're in. It's a one $20,000 grant and one $65,000 grant. They're both specifically for this purpose.
And then who makes the determination about an additional environmental?
Ultimately, that will be the recommendation of the environmental consultants, the folks from MIG who will do the environmental work. And if it is determined that there are those impacts that are unavoidable, not mitigatable, not anything elseable, then we end up moving forward with that additional work.
But it's your best guess that we'll probably have to do that because of the age of, I see that Ellie is shaking her head, yes. Okay. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to butt in there. Anybody else have questions? Jeff?
You said that there was a slight reduction. Can you quantify that?
I want to say that it was a $15,000 to $18,000 reduction. I don't remember where I started and where I ended. So taking it down to $415,000, I want to say maybe it was 13. Maybe it was 13. I think that's what it was. I knew there was a 5 and a 3 and an 8. It was a 13,000 reduction in the not to exceed amount.
Okay, thank you. In the staff report, it says that both of the firms were similar in their experience, approach, and cost. So I guess, and it goes on to say that the recommendation to award to MIG was primarily based on the familiarity that MIG has with Clayton and the ability to leverage the work. What is the status of the other work that has been already awarded?
I have been meeting with the folks from MIG who are working on that project. We are in the process and should by mid-June have we'll be hosting a web page on our website. That should go live in about a little over 3 weeks. And then that will have a variety of both information, background, et cetera, as well as the first component of the outreach that we're specifically going to be putting out is around a photo crowdsourcing effort, which will essentially ask people for, rather than saying, describe, you want this kind of thing or that kind of thing, show us a picture of a thing that has value to you or that you like or that you would like to see, et cetera. And so we will be doing that as the first effort. And then we will be doing additional outreach in the summer once we get the results of that, as well as some survey effort. And then we're hoping that the world will be open enough that we can do maybe some pop-up events in a park or something this summer.
Okay. So would you say that with that we are on track with what we had originally estimated as for project timeline?
I would say we are a little behind, and that was largely due to turnover in staff. However, I think that linking it to some of this work that we're doing as well on the housing element will allow us to maybe gain back a little bit of time as we kind of flip back and forth between those conversations. But we're probably behind the goal of having it done within 12 months or less.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that there's a high interest in the other work that Meg is doing. So I don't know if when we launch that first page at the city site, if we would have a project timeline or something that would kind of inform as to what to expect. Is that something that's on the docket?
Yeah.
The timeline that you just illustrated, I think, is great. But if we have that available, then I think it will set expectations. So.
Yes, and we talked about having a kind of a process overview as part of that website. So that would include kind of the timeline and what people can expect.
Okay. So I guess my last question is, if Meg is the one that's going to essentially be determining the need for an EIR and they're getting additional pay for the EIR, do you think that creates a moral hazard?
No.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, we'll go to the public. Janet, do we have any questions from anybody?
Mayor Wolf, I do not have any hands raised on this item.
Okay, then we'll close that and move back to the council. Any further questions, comments, discussion? Okay, we have
move approval, Diaz.
Okay, first Diaz. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Cloven. All right, Janet, please call the vote.
Councilmember Diaz.
Yes.
Councilmember Tillman.
Aye.
Councilmember Juan.
On the grounds that I would only authorize the funds for the initial amount, I'm going to vote no.
Vice Mayor Cloven.
Aye.
Mayor Wolf.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's approved, and we'll move on to action item B, and that's to introduce and waive first reading of an ordinance amending section 2.04.070 of the Clayton Municipal Code entitled Order of Business. So let's go back to our city manager for this again.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is an item you may remember several months ago. We brought forward a conversation on where public comment should go in the flow of items in the agenda. At that time, the council did not make any changes to what is our kind of current practice in terms of the order of the agenda. As a result of that conversation, myself and Mala took a greater look at the current ordinance and are bringing forward a couple of changes this evening for the council's consideration. They fall into kind of three areas. The first is, so currently this information resides in the municipal code. Typically something like the order of the agenda doesn't really require the heft of an ordinance. It can certainly be adopted by resolution. And anytime you change an ordinance, it takes more effort than changing a resolution. And so simply to streamline the administrative process, the recommendation is to basically in the ordinance, in the code, just leave this will be adopted by resolution, and then everything else would exist in the resolution itself. The second piece is to do some cleanup on duplicative items, some language that isn't used any longer, like redevelopment agency, et cetera, just some general administrative cleanup. And then the third item, which is really the only substantive change that's being brought forward this evening, is to recommend that the Planning Commission no longer present on a regular basis to the City Council under reports. And the reason for that, and Mala can speak more to it, but I'll do my best to do the layperson summary of it, is to create as clean as possible a record for maintaining due process. So many items come from the Planning Commission to the City Council, ultimately, whether on appeal or because they have a component that is required to come to the council. And we want to make sure that we are ensuring our applicants' due process, meaning that the council members are coming into the meeting without having made any prejudgment or predetermination. And it is cleaner and more of a best practice to not have the Planning Commission report, which could potentially muddy those waters. So on the basis of due process, our recommendation is that the Planning Commission no longer make that regular report to the City Council. And that's the only additional change and really the only substantive change. So I'm not sure if the city attorney wishes to comment to clarify anything I may have summarized in more plain terms. And that's it.
Okay. Mala, did you want to say anything?
No, I thought the city manager did an excellent job summarizing.
Okay, good.
Pleads the fifth.
Anybody have any questions on this for either Mala or Rainey? Yes, Jim.
Yeah, I do. It's interesting, and I agree with the fact that we probably ought to preclude the reports to the City Council because it can muddy the waters, so to speak. However, the City Planning Commission gives a very detailed report to the CBCA every month, in which all the questions that City Council members have, including myself, get answered in public. So I don't know what you want to do about that.
Okay. Raina, do you want to say? I mean, the reality is we can watch their meeting video, right?
Well, I asked Raina that watching this Planning Commission videos, that is not a good idea because it could, if you have to then disclose that when the issue comes to you. So if you're prepared to do that, then so be it. But I make it a point not to watch the Planning Commission meeting so I can clearly state that I have not heard anything or am biased by anything. But I can't say the same thing about the CBCA meeting because you get full disclosure there and answer the questions that I want to ask at the City Council meeting.
So where are we on that question?
Ultimately, the city can't determine anything that the CBCA chooses to put on their agenda. We could gently suggest that they consider whether that's something they want to consider doing. But honestly, that's a CBCA is not a council action. It is a community organization. And so, I think we need to leave that in the hands of the CBCA as to how they want to handle that.
You act as if we have no influence over that. We can't influence the CBCA because they're a separate organization, but the members that are speaking, we have complete influence over. So I think to say that our hands, throw our hands and we have no recourse, I think that's short-sighted. If we as a body say this is a bad idea, we can direct this other body to not do that.
Exactly.
So, I think this removing the thing from the report from the agenda, like that's pretty straightforward. But I think the spirit of what we're trying to do is a due process issue, is a compliance with the Brown Act issue. But that's just a fig leaf. I mean, there's so many other activities that happen that are much more egregious than that. I mean, you have as Jim said at the CBCA meeting, but I mean, you have council members that attend or watch videos of the meetings themselves. I mean, when I first came on, I mean, I remember, Mala, you had a direct conversation with me saying you should not go to these meetings. Pretty straightforward. I don't know if that's happened. I don't know if that's our standard practice or that was just me or what, but I don't know if that's still part of the new council member initiation. Is it?
I've been a CBCA member for 100 years now, and Jim has as well. I was never told not to attend the CBCA meeting.
Not the CBCA meeting. I'm talking the Planning Commission meeting.
Oh, the Planning Commission. Oh, I see.
Yeah, I said, so should we go to this? And Mala said, you should not go to this.
Yeah, I don't go to them either.
Because that's bad.
Depending, if I might jump in and answer, depending on the issue, there is items that come to the council from the Planning Commission that are recommendations. And all of those items, you'll have that information from the Planning Commission, what their recommended action is, and you can choose to review the minutes or watch now that we have watching the Zoom meeting that's been taped. You'll need to disclose all of that, as Councilmember Diaz has indicated. And then there are items that come to the council on appeal, which are what we consider de novo. And in those de novo actions, you hear the matter new or fresh. So what happened at the Planning Commission doesn't in any way influence your action at the council because you are hearing it fresh. But I think the key point, it can cause problems attending, but the key point is that you have to disclose what you've considered and heard. And I think I just realized we may have lost Councilmember Diaz. As Councilmember Diaz had indicated, you need to disclose any information you've received from an outside source. So similarly, if you're hearing things at a CBCA meeting related to a project that you're going to hear, that would be something you'd need to disclose.
So if we still have that same conversation, would you still recommend against attending?
I think it depends. I think it's nuanced is what I'm trying to suggest. It depends on the matter, and it depends on if it's a de novo or if it's a recommendation. But either way, you'll need to disclose it. I can't prohibit you from attending. Let me put it that way. But it can potentially pose risk, especially if you don't disclose it.
Feel like that wasn't a full recommendation, but okay, I could leave it alone.
Okay, anybody else?
I, for one, will miss the Planning Commission report. I know as a Planning Commissioner myself, it was valuable for me to be able to come to the City Council and present the report and to get familiar with the process of the City Council. But I understand the direction that's coming from both the City Manager and the City Attorney, and I accept it accordingly.
Okay, so will anybody from the public want to weigh in on this? Janet?
Mayor Wolf, I have one hand raised. Frank, I'm going to promote you to panelist. If you can please unmute your microphone.
Thank you again. Can you hear me?
Welcome back.
Okay, I do support this very much. I support this, and also to revisit the CBCA issue. I recused myself from the Oak Creek Canyon vote hearing. 2 days later, I am in a CBCA meeting and find out the results of that vote. So CBCA members found out about the results of that vote from the taxpayers of Clayton before the taxpayers of Clayton found out. That didn't make any sense to me. A private organization that happens to give money to the city gets to find out the result of votes before the rest of the public. That's just not right. And it puts the CBCA at some risk as well, but that's for them to figure out. I don't think anyone should be reporting to CBCA at all from the Planning Commission or the City Council, but at least from the Planning Commission. When that happened, that was not right. I agree with the idea that we no longer report to the city to keep things objective. I also would like that the City Council develop some sort of code of conduct for us, like the code of conduct that exists for the City Council, about the behavior of planning commissioners. I have not had a chance to talk to the city manager, but I do not believe that the handbook applies to us, that applies to you, about how you guys treat each other. On social media, I've been disparaged. One of my colleagues disparaged my daughter during the election season. Another one of my colleagues disparaged Councilmember Juan's wife recently on Nextdoor. I'm sure some of you will say that you never saw that, but it happened. Since the day I got appointed, Councilmember Wolf, I've refrained from any social media talk. I've never disparaged a colleague. I've never called any of my colleagues incompetent, stupid, or liars. That's been going on for some time. So in addition to this, I think the City Council needs to develop some sort of code of conduct. Planning Commission right now, the behavior is unacceptable. So there's too much commenting on social media as well. I know that there's a gentle reminder going out about that, but there is a closed forum right now that's run by one of the council planning commissioners that should not be run. I believe AB 992 or whatever the bill is prohibits that. But I do support the idea that we no longer report to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. I got a question, Mala or Reina, with regard to what Frank was talking about as far as reporting out to the CBCA, which of course I do on a monthly basis now as mayor, and that's been the custom. But given the fact that the vote had already happened on the Oak Creek project, and the meeting, the Planning Commission meeting is public and recorded, and it's a Zoom meeting now, anybody could watch it. Once the vote is completed, is that then verboten to report to the CBCA on?
I think the issue is that I think many of you attend those meetings. And so now as council members, if it's an item that you're going to hear, you've now heard kind of a summary, or there may be an additional discussion held by CBCA members about that item. And if you're sitting there listening to that, that's something you'll have to disclose if the item comes before you. So that's the potential risk.
But as far as the public knowing, or CBCA knowing about it before the public, that's actually a misnomer, because the reality is the Planning Commission is public, a public meeting.
Right. And so the public would have heard, if they wanted to attend the Zoom meeting, they would have seen the action live.
Yeah. And do they do a replay on on that too? Do they
yes, we try to have those videos posted in approximately a day-ish as well, right. Similar to the council videos.
Okay. So just to answer my other question, I mean, should I be reporting to the CBCA? And should there be city reports to the CBCA?
Probably not about land use matters. I would say those type of reports, whether they're coming from planning commissioners or not, could create the same type of problem that we're discussing.
We may have to have a talk with the CBCA and see what we can do with regard to who reports to the CBCA.
So to clarify, did I hear the city attorney say it's specifically narrowed to land use matters?
Correct.
We could invite the CBCA to listen to the meetings.
We certainly do that.
And I bet many of them do.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no requirement that you do a report out. I mean, say whatever you want, but it's not a requirement.
Right. I mean, for me personally, as long as I've been mayor, that's been a report out, then I'm done. But I don't stay for the rest of the meeting. But that isn't to say that I couldn't. So I just want to be clear on this whole reporting out.
I mean, so the risk is that something happens that some aggrieved party takes offense to and sues the city.
Correct.
We may still win, but we'll pay money, and they'll probably hit us, and we'll probably pay money to settle because we're like a piñata.
Yeah, I get it.
Mayor Wolf, may I just ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
Really quickly. I believe a comment was made that the private group, the CBCA, is hearing stuff before the public does, and how it looks based on them giving money to the city. I wasn't aware that the CBCA provided money to the city. Am I correct? I used to serve on the board, and I'm pretty positive that we don't give money to the city.
I am not aware of it.
The CBCA in the past purchased all of those trash receptacles and the benches that are all around downtown.
I think they would be considered in-kind donations rather than cash.
It could be, but that's how they have donated, if you want to call it a donation. That's how they have contributed to the city.
I mean, that's very much appreciated. So
it is.
That's pretty fantastic. So
That was it. That's all I had.
Pardon me?
That was it.
That was it. Anybody else?
I want to make.
Anybody else have questions or comments?
Another public comment.
Pardon me?
We have one more hand raised for public comment.
Yes, Bassam, as I promote you to panelist, if you can please unmute your microphone.
I thought we did public comment and close public comment, but no? Okay.
This is Bassam. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. No, Mayor, you did not close public comment. And
okay, thank you. Thank you for that correction. Thank you, Bassam.
I have a couple of notes regarding the reporting to the City Council. As a planning commissioner, I actually do not like reporting to the City Council, but I want to remind the City Council as well that in certain occasions, we have city staff that are not up to the level of reporting the meeting minutes correctly. In fact, we had meeting minutes voted down by the Planning Commission because city staff did not actually represented those meeting minutes. And at the same time, I do think that the City Council should hear from the Planning Commission their own interpretation of events that are happening in the Planning Commission. That's point number one. Point number two, I just heard another planning commissioner, I'm trying to hold my words here, claiming that he doesn't attack other planning commissioners or other people, while he's just attacked other planning commissioners and other planning people in public right now in front of you 2 minutes ago. That's despicable. And I'm going to leave it at that. Shame on you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bassam. Do we have anybody else in for public comment?
Mayor Wolf, I do not have any other hands raised at this time.
Then we'll close public comment on that. Okay.
Good move.
Bring it back to the council, and it's getting late. So anyway, let's bring it back to the council. Any other comments, questions, motion?
Move approval, Diaz.
First by Diaz. Anybody have a second here?
I'll second.
Second by Tillman. Okay. Janet, please call the vote.
Councilmember Diaz.
Yes.
Councilmember Tillman.
Aye.
Councilmember Juan.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cloven.
Aye.
Mayor Wolf.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, and that passes, and we'll move on now to council items limited to council requests and directives for future meetings. Peter.
So I'd like to direct the staff, if I can, to review the City of Concord's ordinance regarding hazard pay and bring it to the City Council for discussion. That's
I think
item number one.
I think it's a request for discussion, not a direction
Yeah,
to staff.
well, no,
right?
well, I mean, there is a ordinance that worked obviously in the city of Concord. I've talked with Mayor McGallion regarding this. City of Concord paid actually nothing. What they did is they directed certain employers with employees over 300.
No, I understand that, but I'm talking from a procedural matter. You're not asking to direct staff. You're asking to bring it as an agenda so that we can discuss whether or not we want to direct staff.
Well, exactly. Well, what I would like to do is bring the Concord ordinance in front of us to discuss whether we want to adopt something like that. So if I'm directing the staff to bring that to us, or do I, what's the best way?
I think my understanding is that we can't individually direct staff, but we can request agenda items so that collectively, if we so choose, then we can direct staff. So staff doesn't actually do any work and spend time until we collectively give direction.
Yeah.
So I would like to review as a city council the City of Concord's ordinance, which directed the larger employers to pay hazard pay. I would like to review that as a city council. So that's item number one. Item number two, I'd like to talk in the future as an agenda item, have a discussion as a city council about the possibility of a vacancy tax in Clayton. And we'll just leave it at that at this point. But I think that there is some value in that conversation in the near future.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, Councilman.
Yeah, I would like to make my second request to revisit and put it on a future agenda item for the famous falling tree on the property fence of a private citizen.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. All right. We have no closed session today. So it looks like we are adjourned till our next regularly scheduled meeting on June 1st. Have a good night. Thank you.